All right, let's just jump right in. We're about to explore a way of looking at reality that could completely flip how you think about your choices, your connection to other people, pretty much everything. And look, this isn't science fiction. This is a serious take on ethics built on the absolutely bizarre, but real, rules of quantum mechanics. So, let's kick things off with a question that's, well, it's a big one. What if every single time you made a decision, doesn't matter if it's what to eat for breakfast or who to marry, reality itself splits in two? A whole new universe just pops into existence where you took the other path. It sounds like something out of a movie, right? But it's a question we gotta ask to get where we're going. Now, to even get our heads around why we'd consider an idea that wild, we have to look at all the stuff our current science really struggles to explain. Specifically, the mysteries of our own minds. There are all these experiences people report that just don't seem to fit with the idea that our consciousness is neatly locked up inside our brains, stuck moving forward in time. I mean, you've heard the stories, right? For centuries, people have talked about things like knowing something was going to happen before it did, or near-death experiences that feel more real than reality. Now, I know this stuff is controversial, for sure, but these persistent, weird little data points are exactly what push people to think way, way outside the box and search for a new way to understand what's going on.
So, how could we possibly explain any of this? Well, this is where it gets really, really cool. If you take two huge ideas, one from the front lines of physics and one from metaphysics, and you smash them together, a whole new picture of reality starts to emerge. And it might just make sense of it all.
Okay, so piece number one of the puzzle is the many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics. Now, stick with me here. What this theory basically says is that every time a quantum particle has a choice to be here or there, spinning up or down, the universe literally splits. Both things happen. They just happen in their own brand new parallel universes. So you've got this infinitely branching tree of realities. And the second piece is this idea of non-local consciousness. This suggests that our minds aren't just these isolated little computers inside our skulls. Nope. It's more like we're all terminals plugged into a giant, invisible internet of awareness, a shared field that connects every mind, maybe across all of space and time. So when you put these two things together, the shift in how you see everything is just massive. You go from the old view of being an isolated person on one single timeline to being an interconnected self navigating this incredible branching multiverse. Your mind isn't just in your brain anymore. It's part of a universal field. And simple A causes B logic, that gets upgraded to something way more complex, like a kind of cosmic resonance. Okay, a branching multiverse, a shared field of minds. It's a mind-bending theory for sure. But what's the so what? I mean, how does this actually change how we live our lives? Well, this is where ethics comes in. And believe me, the implications are absolutely profound. If we even entertain this model, it forces us to make at least three huge shifts in how we think about right and wrong. First, this idea of radical interconnectedness. Your thoughts might not even be totally private. Second, the moral weight of every choice you make suddenly becomes enormous, because you're literally creating worlds. And third, the whole idea of an individual self starts to get really fuzzy. Where do I stop and you begin? I mean, really let that sink in for a second. This isn't just about how your choices affect your own little story. In this reality, every choice is a creative act. You are a co-author of a universe. You're not just a passenger along for the ride. You are actively piloting which branch of reality you, and everyone in it, gets to experience. The responsibility is just immense. So let's look at how this new moral compass might actually work. This way of thinking doesn't just add a few new rules to the old playbook. It takes some of our oldest, deepest philosophical questions about free will, about justice, about death, and it turns them completely on their head. You know, what's so fascinating is how it reframes our sense of control. The question of free will is no longer, did I really make that choice? Because in the multiverse, all choices get made somewhere. The real question becomes your personal responsibility for the path you choose to walk down. And justice? It stops being some abstract ideal we hope for. It becomes an urgent, practical mission to heal this world, right here, right now, because you know for a fact that other, less just worlds also exist. And then, this view just completely changes our relationship with death. If consciousness isn't stuck in the brain and it can exist across all these parallel worlds, then death isn't a final stop. It's more like a transition. And think about what that does.
It could free our entire system of morality from being based on fear of punishment, hope for some reward in an afterlife, and instead root it in the here and now, in consciously evolving yourself in this moment. So, if this is how things are, a multiverse of interconnected minds, what do we do? How do we take these giant cosmic ideas and actually turn them into a way to live, day in and day out?
It seems to point toward 3 key practices. First, mindfulness. It's not just for chilling out anymore. It's about taking care of your inner world, because that world might actually have real, non-local ripple effects. Second, compassion. It stops being just a nice idea and becomes a logical necessity once you realize the line between you and someone else is, well, it's basically an illusion. And finally, creativity. It isn't just for painters and musicians. It's our moral duty, because every single choice we make is an act of building a world.
And it's so important to get this next point. What we've been talking about, this whole framework, it's not meant to be a helpful metaphor. It's not some feel-good story. It's being put on the table as a serious model for how reality might actually work. And if there is even a shred of truth to it, well, that changes everything.
So I'll just leave you with this final thought to chew on. In a multiverse where every possibility is real, where there are infinite versions of you living out every choice you ever did or didn't make, the only question that truly matters, the one you have to answer with every single action, is this. In this world, the one you're in right now, who are you choosing to become?